So, welcome to this YouTube video slash webinar about Zabbix visualization. Slides are also used in webinars, so we can safely ignore the microphones are muted because, well, it's a recording. But for YouTube, please, if you do have any questions, you can throw them in the chat and we will try to reply on it. No guarantees, but we will definitely try. So let's talk about Zabbix visualization. First things first, let me introduce myself. So my name is Brian van Bakel. I'm working as a Zabbix trainer, Zabbix consultant at Opensource ICT Solutions. And we are a Zabbix partner in the Netherlands, United Kingdom and in the United States. Zabbix is our core business, which means that we are literally 24/7 working on the product and only on the product. And although we quite well understand how to build a network, how to manage Linux servers, switches, routers, firewalls, Windows machines, etc., that's not what we do. We build the best possible monitoring solutions. And part of that is building the visualization, of course. And that's what we are going to talk about right now. So if we have a Zabbix instance, hopefully we get some data in, and yeah, we need a way to visualize that data. One of my favorite pages to do so is monitoring latest data. From there you select a machine and you can just look at the values here just as values. You can open up a graph, then it looks like this. But you can also, if you want to know the very specific values here, convert that graph into values and just see the values as is. And this for me is extremely helpful already. And not only because I can see the graphs, but also because I can zoom in, zoom out, go to different periods, etc. So top right corner, there's a period selector, and from there you can do whatever you want. But also from and to, you can populate absolute timestamps and date stamps, but also relative now minus 1 hour, etc. When we look at those graphs, we might see two different representations. So in the upper graph, we are looking at the raw data, so the history data. And what you see over here is every data point that came in is plotted onto that graph. The lower one, we are looking into the trends, and the trends are an aggregated value. And what we are actually looking at here is the maximum value, so that's the thin red line. Then we've got the average, the thick green line, and we've got the minimum value in the thin green line. By the way, we can see those white and gray areas as a background. That's what we call working time, just to indicate when something happened. So apparently here we had a weekend, nothing happened, and then 9 a.m. Monday morning, bam, apparently the MySQL queries per second went up quite a bit. So we can easily see that something happened during daytime or during the night or the weekend. Another thing that we can do is select multiple items and then click on display graph. So here we selected the CPU util, the memory util, hit the display graph button, and we can just see the graph as is. This is a normal graph, but we have two options to show an different representation. The first one is you go back to monitoring latest data, select those two items, and then click on display stacked graph. Or when you are looking at the graph already, then right upper corner you click on filter and you change the graph type from normal to stacked. The result will be this. And now Zabbix is plotting the CPU user time, the CPU system time and the CPU user time stacked on top of each other. So we can see the total, well, utilization basically for those two selected items, of course. This looks great. This is absolutely fine, but sometimes you need a different representation of things. Well, in that case, we cannot really select the items as is and show an ad hoc graph, but we need to create our own custom graphs. You do that hopefully on a template. So you go to configuration, then templates, graphs, and from there you can configure multiple items in a single graph with a different representation. So we can show it as a normal or a stacked graph, but also as a pie or an exploded pie. And then for all these items, we can select different drawing styles as well. So we got quite a flexible setup. The configuration looks like this. So we do have a screenshot here, MySQL operations. We specify the width, the height, then what kind of graph we would like to have, a legend, working time, whether triggers should be presented or not. If Zabbix should scale the graph itself based on the values, or that it should be a fixed value. And then we select multiple items, the different colors, drawing style, functions, etc. From there, with different drawing styles, you can show the average, the lost, the min, max, or all possible values. So we've got a nice way to present graphs. A nice way? Well, it's not too bad, but it's also not great. So already in Zabbix 4.0, Zabbix introduced a new graph widget for the dashboards. And from here we do have vector graphs. And to be honest, they look a lot better, but they are also a lot more flexible. In the dashboards, we are talking about custom graphs in dashboards right now. We also do have a legacy graph. And that one is presenting the graphs as we have seen it already. So that's just the normal one. Here we have a screenshot of a new graph where we do see something about date and time. We do see some information about the items. And of course, we do see the items itself. When we hover over it, we get a nice layover basically indicating what's going on. Starting to configure these things is as easy as creating a new widget, and I'm going to show it in a bit. And then suddenly we are not working with specific host, specific items anymore, but we are rather working with data sets. And in those data sets, we can work with patterns. So here, apparently a static host was selected, Zabbix server, but we would like to see every item with the wording cache in it. And from there, we can see a bit of the result already. Those items are being presented. There is an extra option, overrides. And in that option, we are telling, for this host, this particular item, it should be presented as points with a blue color with a specific point size. So we can build wildcards or patterns to get every item and then override a specific one in a different representation. So various presentations, as already mentioned, we can show bars, we can show lines, we can show staircases or points or whatever you want. And this one is extremely flexible. But we do have another thing. And that's what we call network maps. Remember, we are talking about visualization, so we do have other concepts as well. And network maps is what Zabbix calls a graphical representation of the data. And it is real time, or it can be real time. So we can show quite some different icons here. And for each icon, dynamically show, well, the current status, but also if you want, we can show the CPU load and the network traffic and whatever you would like to show there. We can even include triggers. So when what we call a link goes into the problem state, when a trigger goes into the problem state, that link will be presented differently, just to give you the most flexible setup. And we can see the example already here. So apparently the connection between this switch and this firewall or this router went down. So it is presented as a red line instead of a green line. This one does also have a problem with switch 1, and well, apparently it's not down, but it does have a different color of the line, indicating that something is going on. For all these elements, if the type is a host, we can access front-end scripts as well. And front-end scripts are extremely useful to, well, set configuration or change behavior. It's not really part of the visualization, but extremely useful. So, in order to configure this, we go to monitoring maps. And from there, we get a full list of the maps, depending on the permissions. By default, every user in Zabbix can create its own maps. However, we can fix that in the user roles. So that depends a little bit on the configuration. Once we would like to configure or create a new map, we can set the properties of that map. So changing the name, the dimensions, aesthetic background, how icon highlighting should happen, minimum trigger severity, URLs, etc. Then we save it. We go into edit mode, and from there we can add map elements. Those map elements, images, so just icons, triggers, host groups, maps, or a shape like a circle or a line or whatever. So extremely flexible setup. This is how the configuration looks like. So we do set a name and a width, etc., etc. And then we go into that configuration where we can start building the actual elements. And this is really drag and drop. So we can just move it, we can copy paste stuff, we can add dynamic information, custom icons, etc. Special attention for the map options effects. So by default we get this one. Just a normal icon showing that everything is okay. Sure. However, when a problem arises, you might want to have a different presentation so that you can quickly see and identify on which host something happened. And for me, the icon highlight is extremely useful. So apparently on this machine right now, we do have some sort of problem, and the circle here is just indicating that there is a problem, and the color of that circle is the trigger severity. So we can easily see what's going on with severity. And oh, by the way, by default, it is also showing the name of the problem. Now, what if we do have a problem and that one is being resolved? Then we know something changed, but we can't really see in the map anymore what's going on. And that's why I always enable mark elements on trigger status change. So we do have a normal element, but when something is changing, we force Zabbix to add those 3 red arrows here. And those arrows are just giving you the indication something recently changed. And for this one, for this example, I think it's kind of useful. So we do have a problem right now because we see that circle, and we do have those 3 arrows indicating that it was recently gone into the problem state. So yeah, by default, typically I enable both of the options, but of course it's completely up to you what a better option is. We can also force Zabbix to change the problem display options. So actually we've got 3 options here. Show all problems, just indicating that there are 6 problems. Separated, indicating that we do have 6 problems and 5 of them are unacknowledged. Or unacknowledged only, and then it's just giving me 5 unacknowledged problems, not indicating the one that is still a problem but has been acknowledged. So it really depends on the use case what a better option is. You saw already in the maps we are adding elements, and some of them do have a normal icon like a server or whatever. However, we can upload our own icons. So we can just upload our own PNG or GIFs or whatever to create our custom map. Those icons are used for all elements. So we can create an icon for an host, but also for a specific trigger, or an icon indicating a full host group, or just an image, of course. I mean, that's up to you. Shapes are straightforward. We've got 3 different options: a rectangle, a circle or an ellipse, and a line. And it really depends how your map looks like, which one is going to be the better option. So here we've got 2 rectangles with a gray line and another one smaller with a thin gray line. It's really up to you how to add those shapes. Then we've got another topic, and this one is a big topic, and I'm gonna build a demo out of it in a bit. So we've got Zabbix dashboards, and those dashboards is what Zabbix calls the central point of monitoring. We can build one dashboard with, I don't know, all servers represented. We can create another dashboard with network monitoring or graphical locations or whatever. So those dashboards can or probably show live statistics of the business. How much traffic is flowing over a website, how many users are logged in. So many different options there, extremely flexible. In order to build a dashboard, we immediately should look into widgets. So a widget is a representation of the data that you would like to have. And from top of mind, there are over 20 or 25 different widgets. So we can see a few of them here. We do have that new graph. We can see the host availability or an item value or a map, or we can see the problems, or well, the list goes on and on and on. And that's giving me immediately the opportunity to show you a demo. Please note, this demo is built on Zabbix 7 Alpha 7. And I just created a new dashboard because I really would like to show you some of the options there. So I saved the dashboard, and there is just a clock on it. And that clock is indicating some sort of time. It really depends on the configuration which time it is actually representing. But I'm going to edit the dashboard, and I'm going to remove this widget. Now we have an empty dashboard. And I would like to add a new widget here. That widget, well, it went to type clock, showing an analog clock of the local time, or a digital clock, or different time settings, etc. Then let's just go for a graph type. And well, we need to configure things. Let me zoom in a little bit. Host pattern, well, static host Zabbix server. Let's see what we can do with showing all caches. And what I'm actually typing here is asterisk, cache, asterisk. And Zabbix is showing me already what it is matching on. So I can select one of the static items, or I can select this one, and now it's going to represent all of them. We can show it as lines, points, a staircase, and the example is a bit bad, but you can see it over here, or as bars. Well, let's go for lines, where we change the width of the lines, the transparency a bit, and the fill. And we can even tell, depending on the data we are looking at, how things should be aggregated. Well, Zabbix caches. I'm gonna rename the data set label. And of course, we can add other data sets as well. So we can add an item list or an item pattern or a data set. It's really up to you. We can change the displaying options where we would like to see specifically historical data or trends, or working time, the gray and the white backgrounds. We can tell Zabbix that it should or should not represent the left or right y-axis or the x-axis. We can, let me go back, tell Zabbix that the legend should be presented or not, how many rows there are, how many columns there are. It's really up to you, of course. We can even force it to show the min, the average, and the max. And please note, I'm showing a 7.0 Alpha 7 right now. So you might see in your environment slightly different options here. We can tell Zabbix, show us the problems, and hopefully I don't have any problem. Okay. Yeah, I do have some sort of issue. And what you might have seen is that the background is changing. So let me just keep this one enabled and add this widget. So apparently we are looking at data, of course, but we also see that that red background indicating that there is some sort of problem, and that problem is there is no Linux agent or no Zabbix agent available. Okay, that's a graph. Then I love this one actually, item value. So just show me how many clients there are on this access point. Okay, that was not too interesting. 0. No. I was looking for something else, and you can already see that I'm struggling to find what I'm looking for. So I click on select, and then I know I need a different host, and for this host I would like to see this item. Okay, so there are 22 clients right now connected. I'm monitoring the Wi-Fi. 22 clients connected, and that's slowly decreasing apparently because people are leaving the office. We can even tell Zabbix, you know what? If the value is below, no, it should be green by default, but if it is below 25, turn up red, or above 25, or, well, it's really up to you how to configure this. That's the item value, a really interesting one. Another one, and this is a 7.0 feature, show me a pie chart. And the pie chart, Zabbix server, I would like to have the load items, these 3. No data, of course, we do not have an agent. Configuration cache versus the history index cache. I don't know, I'm just picking something. So 32% versus 0.6%. So this is just giving you a pie chart, but we can also show it as a donut. So different representation, of course, but also a gouge. So tell me, Zabbix, total number of clients between 0 and, I don't know, 50. Okay, there we go. So we do have 20 clients right now. Minutes ago, we had 21 or 22. So people are still leaving the office. And we can just see that representation. Not only seeing that representation, we can of course change all colors here as well. So that should be a big bluish. Let's make this orange. There we go. And trust me, I'm great at making ugly widgets. So here we have that example already. Nevertheless, it's giving you an idea of how things should or could be configured. Let me try to show you one other option, top host. So discovered host, and I would like to see which access point got the most clients connected to it. So number of clients, and I need to find one of the access points. Total number of clients, and I'm just telling Zabbix, show me how many clients there are for the access points. Okay, 0. Let's change this, 3. Okay, so I know I do have an access point with 3 clients on it. Which access point? We just add a column, hostname, add. Okay, so apparently this one got 3 clients on it, this one, and that one, the test access point got 1 client connected to it. Okay, I would like to have the hostname on the left side, so I just change the order here. There we go. And we can even tell Zabbix, don't show it as a normal value, but show it as bars or as indicators. So I'm going to show it as a bar, 0 to, I don't know, 10. There we go. I should change the order once again. Okay, so now we can see what's going on. We can change the colors, obviously. So just the base color should be green. And then we can once again add thresholds. What I also can do is tell Zabbix, show it as an indicator. So the presentation is different right now, but the whole bar is green. Let's change this as well. So let's add a threshold. 2, and now this should be orange-ish. This should be red, 7. I don't know, I'm just picking something. Now we can see this portion is green. For this access point, we are already in the orange part, but it's not too bad yet. For the other one, it's the same because 3 clients. This one got 2 clients, so that's still in the green portion. Different representations in the same widget, basically. We do have quite a few other widgets here, of course. Some of them are more useful than others, but really depends on how you would like to display things. So I leave that one up to you. Play around. We are just looking at the dashboard here, and of course we can save this dashboard and just see what's going on. So that's all I have regarding the visualization part, and that's not because there is nothing more to tell, but mainly because there is way more to tell and how long should this recording become. So I just try to keep it, well, somewhat reasonable, hence that's all I've got for you. Now a bit of advertisement, because of course when you are focusing on a product that is fully open source, you need a different way of making a living, and a different way is selling services. So we do provide 24/7 technical support. When you do have some sort of issue, no worries, give us a call. We are there to help you out. Trainings, more on that one in a bit. We can upgrade your Zabbix instance from, I don't know, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7 once it is released, etc. We can build custom integrations. We can even build turnkey solutions. So we start from scratch or we migrate from another product into Zabbix. It's all just possible. Quite often we are building templates for some, I don't know, exotic device, which is always great fun because, well, you see the craziest devices. Remote troubleshooting. So we can try to help you out on an ad hoc basis if there is some sort of problem with your Zabbix instance. And of course, the consultancy part, which is a large portion of my work actually, advising, designing, building, explaining, etc. All regarding Zabbix, of course. For the support, different support levels, different perks, of course, but please check out our website. On that website, the list price is just available. And when you request a quote, we can always, see what we can do in regards of discounts. Not always a discount is possible, but yeah, reach out to us if you're interested in one of the different support options, and we can definitely see what can be done. The other option is trainings. So, like I said, I'm a trainer myself, providing all 4 different levels, where we start with a certified user. That's an optional training, by the way, which is just a 1-day training showing you how to work with the front end. Then we've got a 5-day specialist training, which is really useful if you ask me. We start building a Zabbix server, then building items, triggers, hosts, templates, actions, maintenance periods, dashboards, you name it, we start building it. Then we've got a professional training, which is a 3-day training diving more into the details, so low-level discovery, a bit of Java monitoring, etc. And a certified expert, where we start playing around with database queries, API calls, all Zabbix internals. A really interesting training. So, different training options, different support options, consultancy, upgrades, etc. Now, if you do have any questions, like I said, throw them in the chat and we try to answer on it. You can always just give us a call, email us, find us on LinkedIn, etc. We are always available to help you out. Once again, that's all I have regarding this recording. So let us know what you think about it.